everyone, I'm Marcy with Murals by Marcy, and today I'm going to use paint to breathe new life into an old piece of furniture, specifically this antique vanity that's been in my family as long as I can remember. Now I know some would think it's taboo to paint something like this, but I'll tell you why I don't feel bad about it. First of all, it's not in its original state. It has gone through many different looks throughout the years. In the 70s, it was covered in contact paper. Just picture yellow and orange flowers everywhere. In a word, it was groovy. And then in the 80s, when it became mine, I was in high school, so I painted it purple. It wasn't until after Prince's Purple Rain tour that I decided it wasn't such a good look and sanded it down and tried to restore it more or less to what it might have looked like originally. Now the other reason I don't feel bad is that if you look closely, you'll see that it is full of flaws. You've got the veneer lifting up here. There's portions where the wood is cracked and starting to separate. There's nicks and things everywhere that I want to be able to repair, so if I do the repairs and paint over it, those flaws will actually disappear. So let's go ahead and get started, and the first thing I'm going to do is remove this mirror. With the mirror off, I'm now going to tackle the veneer. Now obviously if it was just that it was lifting, I could re-glue it and put it back into place, but in this case actual pieces are broken off, so I'm going to have to replace this entire portion, and I'm going to do so very carefully because I'm going to take this to the store and try to match the veneer. Now there are all different kinds of veneer with different kinds of grain, and even though I'm going to paint over it, it still has to match. So I'm hoping I can find a match for this. If not, I'm going to have to replace all three of these tops. Turns out you can't find this veneer just anywhere. After striking out at the big name hardware stores, I ended up having to go to a warehouse that specializes in wood veneer. And it's a good thing that I took this with me because the guy behind the counter took one look and knew immediately that this was ash wood. So now I have the exact match, which means I will not have to replace these two panels. Now this comes in a really big sheet. I already cut it to size, and I'm going to adhere it to the vanity with contact cement. But before I can do that, I'm going to have to sand and prep this so that it's perfectly smooth. I used regular wood putty to fill in all the gouges and cracks, not just on this surface, but in other parts of the vanity that may have needed it. And now that it's dry, I'm going to take a very fine sandpaper and just sand off all the excess putty and make it nice and smooth so that I can glue the veneer onto it. Next comes a contact cement. Now I'm making sure that the area is well ventilated, and I'm going to wear a mask just for safety. I'm going to apply the contact cement to the top of the vanity as well as the back of the veneer and let it sit for about 15 minutes before I actually apply the veneer on here. I'm just making sure there aren't any bubbles in here. All right. She's all done. I'm going to let it dry overnight, and tomorrow should be ready to paint. So I let the veneer dry overnight, and today I gave everything a light sanding, so now we're ready to paint. And I had this idea to paint everything kind of Victorian. I'm going to use a light blue basically on the bottom of everything, and then on the top I'm going to do a black and white stripe. I'm using a roller, a real small roller. These are perfect for furniture, and it comes with its own little paint tray. Even though I use paint with primer in it, I still had to give everything 2 coats of paint to get the look I wanted. And now that I'm happy with it, I'm going to be spraying a clear coat just to protect it. Now this should only take about 10 to 15 minutes to dry, and once it does, we'll be able to put this whole thing together, add the new drawer knobs, and call it done. And here you have it. In just a short period of time, this went from a plain old piece of furniture to something fun, full of personality, and even a little bit of bling. I hope it inspires you to take on your next project. Thanks for watching.